Hiya, I'm your host Terry J. and welcome to this, my 8th installment of VideoFuzzy the Video. I'm recording alongside my podcast, episode 79, titled The Play's the Thing. It's an unusual take for my Friday night feature. While cataloging this set of discs, 1226 through 1250 in my classic collection, I was running into a lot of storylines that involved characters putting on a show within a show. It's either a plot point or some problem-solving device, and I thought, hey, let's take a look at that. The most front and center storyline of that nature was the fairy godparents' job, the second season episode of Leverage, wherein a community clinic director invested money with scammer Daniel Fowler, flim-flam artist and parent of her child's classmate, noting that a lot of other parents invested with him as well and got fleeced. The clinic is going to be sold, she said, if they can't recover the money. The Leverage team thinks Fowler's got the cash stashed in his home, but there's only a few ways they can break him out of house arrest. School events are among them, so they get Nate installed as the headmaster, and Dr. Melcher, Nate, with the Melcher method, silly, brings associates Sophie and Elliot to craft Danny Boy's son Widmark into a star of some sort, any sort, to involve him in some school activity that would get the Fowlers out of their apartment, where Danny is otherwise on house arrest for the fleecing. This proves difficult in that Widmark's not good at much. Meanwhile, Parker and Hardison move in next door to the Fowlers so as to swoop in and leave and search for the money the team believes is stashed there. They promptly run into FBI agents who recognize them from a past caper. Tiny little world. Meanwhile, Elliot and Sophie try several activities that Widmark reliably fails at. Hope seems lost until Sophie overhears the boys singing in the apartment and devises science fair musical. The students write their own songs, and the production takes the stage. The Fowlers are in the audience, but Hardison's search turns up empty. Danny would seem to have taken the money with him, but Elliot spies a hitman at the school, and the team logics out that Danny's been conspiring with a money manager and head of the parent complaint committee to hide the money and then make a run for it. This backfires when Sophie finds and plays taped evidence of the two conspiring for the restive audience, and Nate, as Dr. Melcher, discovers Danny Boy's duplicate passport and fake IDs, handing them to the FBI agent. I thought his name was Fowler. Hardison magics some of the millions Fowler stole into the clinic's accounts, thereby saving the day. This kind of reminded me a little bit of the third season Friends Like These episode of Burn Notice, in which former spy Michael Weston tosses a stash house in Miami, searching for a duplicate ledger some operative insists he recover before something reinstate me as a spy. There's literally no way Michael will be able to clean the place up in the time it'll take owners to walk from their car to the house, so he flips the narrative, taking them hostage instead until one of them tells him where the ledger is. Of course, the only real parallel here is the search. In the Long Way Back episode, which I highlighted the set decoration on VideoFuzzy's Instagram, where what I thought was some astonishing art, Michael had a confrontation with Fiona's brother and had to quickly adopt an Irish brogue for some Irish rogues. To be fair, most of Burn Notice is about putting on quick shows to accomplish this or that and hoping that they get away with it. This is also the case in The Closer, but usually it's Deputy Chief Brenda Lee Johnson pulling this or that character to get a witness to confess to this or that murder. We've seen her get snooty, snippy, even ditzy. One of the first times we saw her do this, she grabbed half the stuff on her desk and frizzed out her hair to stumble into the interview room looking like a hapless, disorganized secretary and managed to get a confession out of a suspect through this kind of misdirection. We haven't seen it so often from Sergeant Gabriel, though, where in the 5th season episode Smells Like Murder, post a pursuit into the desert, the suspect is digging a hole to bury a cooler full of what he thinks is the friend he murdered 3 years ago. Sergeant Gabriel cuts the cooler open a few feet away, and from his reaction, and Deputy Chief Johnson tying his business trips around the world to postcards the victim's mother received so she'd think her son was still alive. The suspect confesses to the murder and Sergeant Gabriel passes his detective exam. Towards the end of the final season premiere of Monk, Mr. Monk's favorite show, we were treated to a rare alternate reality dream sequence for our Here's What Happened wrap-up. The show revolved around a child star from Adrian Monk's favorite TV show growing up in a ballot box Emmy scandal of some sort, leading to car bombs and death threats in the present day. This, of course, seriously discombobulated Monk because the show was such a safe space for him after his father walked out on them and he tried to navigate his awkward teenage years at loose ends. The safety and security of that TV family was a refuge to him. He grew up imagining himself as a character on the show, and after the killer gives him a bonk to the noggin, he envisions a scene from the show, pretty much the Brady Bunch, is gathered around a broken vase trying to get to the bottom of who'd broken it. The children use 1970s sitcom logic to deflect blame, complaining that parents never suspect Adrian. He enters the scene halfway through to bask in the glory of how popular and talented and not awkward he is at school and how loved he is by both his TV parents. He wraps up the vase investigation by confronting the child star he suspected as the whodunit for the show, laying out the evidence he encountered throughout, and then, with a big hug to his TV mom and dad, a tiny final taste of everything being all right with a world he does not want to leave, he is awakened from the dream sequence and solves the case. While really awkward toward the end, this was a lot more wholesome than the role-playing situation we encounter in a first-season episode of HBO's dramedy Hung. Thomas Jane as Ray Drecker, down on his like Detroit area high school basketball coach, divorced from Anne H. and father to two weird and awkward teens. He loses everything in the fire and is sleeping in a tent. A motivational speaker gets him focusing on unique talents and skills he can turn to his advantage. This encounter reconnects him to a flickering, sputtering hookup he had with Jane Addams as Tanya Skagel, a drab little poet he slept with a few years back when the school brought her in to teach poetry. She isn't any more interested in him than he is in her, but she can't help but notice that the man is packing. Within a few episodes, the show has her set up as his pimp, setting him out as a happiness consultant to a small coterie of interested women. Episode 4 with Margot Martindale, he gets his head in the game, eventually. I mean, he meets up with her and just isn't feeling it. Tanya points out that these hookups are unlikely to be smoking hot 20-somethings, and he's going to have to figure out a way to generate the necessary enthusiasm for the consultation. He meets up with her for a do-over, and this time he's able to provide the service discussed. This led to episode 5, the one that fits the feature topic. Ray encounters Gemma, a beautiful woman alongside of the road. She's struggling with a flat tire, and Ray helps her change it. They get out of the rain at a roadside cafe, and he follows her into the washroom and services her on the sinks. Tanya explains this consultation didn't really work for Gemma. She's got a lot of trust issues, and Ray was playing out more a man's fantasies than a woman's. Ray tries again, fixes her tire, and tries talking to her, getting to know her, saying he's a writer, engaging her intellectually, and this time she actually walks out on him. He was just way too safe. Tanya said she wanted him to stop her, to pursue her. The third time, Ray and Gemma end up on a beach, which is going really well, but Ray just can't tell Gemma what she wants to hear, which, if he said it, how much worse would that be for her? I don't know. But Ray and Gemma aren't the only role players here. Ray's ex, Jessica, and her new hubby, Ronnie, are coming to terms with their diminished circumstances now that Ronnie's lost nearly $1 million to the recession. He's trying to tell Jess and the kids what's going on, and Jess is refusing to hear, determined to just, I guess, act rich until she is again. That woman, the star she keeps hitching her wagon to. I'm pretty sure I stopped watching Hung before it ended. Gross titillation and economic realities aside, lots of circumstances contracted in 2008, and I don't know, this was an especially common go-to for folks. It absolutely had its moment, for the show's energy was bleak, and there wasn't a lot they could do to sugarcoat that. Moving on, I mentioned last time Mary from In Plain Sight was getting married. Her sister's car dealer, NA sponsor, and boyfriend had hired Mary's fiancé, Raphael, as a salesman, which there was some grumbling, but then in the second season finale, Don't Cry for Me, Albuquerque, he also appeared in a dealership ad celebrating his recent minor league baseball career after she had forbidden it. This led to probably necessary conversation, particularly after her bombshell revelation about what it is she does for a living and the level of comfort he needs to scramble together in being okay with what she does, and trained or not, the kind of people she's working with on a daily basis. Along with how much control he was ceding to her in their relationship, it opened space for him to talk about these concerns he had about her job, which before he thought she was just some sort of paper-pushing government bureaucrat. Mary's being a little out of line since, as a minor league baseball player, Raphael was always going to enjoy at least some local amount of celebrity. She would never have been able to rule out a promotion to major league play or any of a million other ways people become internet famous these days, just living his life. Marrying any other person means that you can be pulled unexpectedly into the spotlight. Besides, between Jinx and Brandy and your home being tossed by the FBI, haven't you pretty much experienced and dealt with all of these feels already? I mean, chill. One disc in this set confused me quite a bit. I imagine it was one of my tapes that was recording Simpsons episodes too, but most of the episodes cut in, sometimes more than halfway. Anyway, one that sort of fits this feature is a 14th season episode called The Great Louse Detective, and it's unfortunate I have so little of this one because it sounds like a hoot. Sideshow Bob is released from prison to help find who's trying to kill Homer. After doing so, Bob conceals himself in Bart's room for one of his hilarious attempts at murdering him, and this time discovers he lacks the desire to see it through, bursting into a My Fair Lady number that he's grown accustomed to his face, before he ducks out and his control monitor is hilariously activated. Drop Dead Diva also employed a bit of singing to jumpstart some plot development. In the first season episode Lost and Found, Jane Bingham is the super busy lawyer now possessed by the reincarnated spirit of a dead model, Deb. After winning a settlement against the DA's office for improper imprisonment, Jane celebrates a belated birthday with some karaoke and sings Lucky by Jason Mraz, Deb's song with her former fiancé, now law firm associate, Grayson. Grayson smiles at her, and she smiles back, and I guess I'll find out what happens when the next episode turns up. Just ahead of the first season finale, Better Off Ted aired Jabberwocky. It all starts with one of the show's many in-episode commercials, this one highlighting the Veridian Corporation's commitment to going green. It is pointed out that the production and airing of this commercial is the full extent of this company's commitment to going green. Unfortunately, a research aide, Linda, has an idea for a rooftop garden she wants to pursue, given this company's brand new green initiative. Title character Ted Crisp, head of research, wants to encourage the rooftop garden project, but his boss, Veronica, does not. So Ted creates a small side project to fund the rooftop garden called Jabberwocky, named on the spot from a logo on a worker's jacket. This instantly becomes the hot new project everyone wants to be on. Since no one knows what it is, the possibilities are endless, and the expectations for Jabberwocky, Ted's assertion that it's a game changer, that it'll revolutionize how they do business, to Veronica's enthusiastic pitch to her boss so as to not appear to be out of the loop, and then him not wanting to be out of the loop, to, oh wow, it escalates quickly into a full presentation to their division and a haphazardly tossed together PowerPoint presentation involving a cheetah, another cheetah, a blue whale, and technology and edgy subwoofer multimedia, and hell, I think by the end there was choreography and pyrotechnics. Ted had to come clean about the garden, which his science team figured out how to light using bioluminescence, thereby making it a viable project. It also produced tomatoes, although it backfired a bit with the rise of bioluminescent and increasingly insane squirrels. As for Jabberwocky, they fast-tracked it and outsourced it to Japan. It was, after all, a real game-changer. Finding all of these plot lines in a relatively small set of discs was intriguing, but the concept of the play within a play goes back quite a ways. One of the more well-known instances is even referenced in Leverage by Sophie when she hears Widmark singing, says, "The play's the thing, wherein I'll catch the conscience of a king," quoting the title character from Shakespeare's Hamlet, quick rewrite visiting troops murdering Gonzago to gauge Claudius's reaction to a storyline wherein king asleep in orchard is murdered via dose of poison in the ear, the mousetrap, as Hamlet commends the play to his uncle ahead of the production, which then gives him all the proof he needs to corroborate his late father's allegation. And their machinations do result in getting the swindler out of the house, if not the evidence that they seek. Some of these shows within shows are effective, and some are just silly. Monks was a win for the hair alone. The Jabberwocky presentation in Better Off Ted adds a little more to the production than the poem to the Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There. The poem's further examination and the conversation with Humpty Dumpty said more about the state of literary criticism than the significance of the poem itself. It's a device, one long used and accepted in literature. It gets your characters thinking, speaking, and interacting in new and different ways. It lays in new approaches to problem solving, and it can distract from when you don't have a good ending. Also, this seemed like a good chance to talk about some shows that I haven't thus far, and however it happened, it recurred enough this set to stand out. And that'll do for this installment of VideoFuzzy the video. I know I enjoy putting this together, and I hope you'll check out VideoFuzzy the podcast, that link at the end here, especially episode 79, The Plays the Thing, for the complete installment, or check them all out on YouTube. Like and subscribe for the latest. For VideoFuzzy, I'm Terry J. Amon. Happy viewing!